Hey y'all, it's Jody here, and you're listening to my flippin' podcast. Y'all, you just gotta embrace the suck. I'm in my 30s. I have 3 kids, all born in different decades. Selling houses, flipping houses, renting houses, raising kids, random farm animals. I can't deal. Hey y'all, this is Jody Terrell, and you're listening to my flippin' podcast. And I am so excited today because I've got 2 really good friends of mine, Braxton Collins and Ricordo Ortiz. Met these guys a couple of years back. They both got into real estate at a really young age, started out selling real estate, and you guys both still have your license. Y'all are with Good Faith Realty. And then I know we kind of bonded over our love of real estate investing. Mm-hmm. And you guys have been doing some great things, and you also just opened up a car. What do we call this? A car detail. It's a
vehicle wraps
and stuff like that. So it's called SWD, Southern Wraps and Details. Right. And that's going really well, I've heard. So I'm going to dive into all that because y'all are just entrepreneurs.
That's right.
And that's what I love. I love it so much. So starting from the beginning, how did y'all meet? Let's tell us your love story.
Do you want to tell?
Yeah. So we met through a mutual friend.
Okay.
This was probably 4 years ago.
Probably 2015.
Yeah, maybe 5 or 6. Yeah. It was a long time ago. Yeah. Through cars. We met through cars. Rico at this time, Rico and our mutual friend went to the automotive tech program in Gaston State. Yeah. And we met like probably 2 or 3 times and didn't speak again after that for like 2 years. Yeah, probably. Long time.
Really?
Yeah. And I was going to JSU, and one day I seen Rico down there in Jacksonville. And at this time, he had just got his license. Maybe how many?
Probably a year.
Very fresh. Yeah.
Like I was fresh.
Yeah. So then he knew I was in real estate, so we just seen each other, exchanged information, and then we started basically having weekly lunches in Jacksonville, just talking real estate, goals.
Kind of like accountability partners, sort of?
Yeah, exactly. We used to do, before we even, started working together, we used to always, we would go record videos for each other, go to his apartment in Jacksonville, do marketing stuff, because we never looked at each other as competition. We looked at each other as leverage or as an asset to one another.
Right.
Even before we worked together. So that spooled over into, partnership. Rico is the one who introduced me, really pushed me into real estate investing before. I had a real estate family, so before I was around it, but never was in the mindset or what I call in the position mentally to take a step. So the more we started hanging out, the more we just started liking each other, being friends, hanging out. And then that spooled over into us teaming up, doing some sales stuff. And then, I'll say probably wasn't 2 months in, because he always talked about real estate investing from the very beginning. And I was like, man, he's like, dude, he's like, all of these people and, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, why are you not real estate investing? And I'm like, man, I'm just sales,
Because you guys were really young at that point, too. I want to bring that up. Y'all are still very young. You're both still in your 20s, right?
Yeah, 24, 25.
Yeah. Oh, God, younger than I thought. Because I think, Braxton, when we met, you were 19, maybe,
19,
when you got your license.
Yeah.
So let me back up, because I didn't know this. So y'all first met with dealing with cars, but then when you saw each other for the second time, you both were in real estate at that point.
Correct.
Right.
That's crazy coincidence.
Just one of those destiny things. And it was just a awkward time. Like the time when we met, it's like I wasn't even supposed to be where I was at the time.
Yeah.
I was late for class, had to stop at the gas station, and he just so happened to be there. Yeah. So it's kind of one of those just
serendipitous. Yeah.
Yep.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So now we fast forward to 2021, and I know you guys started a real estate team. And you guys are still doing that, where you're doing residential and commercial sales, I guess, for other clients. Right. Kind of like what I do. But I know over the last year, y'all have focused a lot more on investing and also on the car detail business, which I think is probably y'all's passion. and
Yeah,
love his vehicles.
Exactly.
I've seen both of y'all's rides. And hey, and before I say anything, because you pulled up and parked right in front of me, and I saw that your tag said gratitude.
Right.
I love that. Because I'm big on that. That's my grit, gratitude and responsibility, integrity, tenacity. So, gratitude is just a huge part of everything. I feel so blessed every day to be here, and I feel great to know you guys and be blessed to have y'all on my podcast. So I had to give you props for that. So now, last year I know you guys were flipping a house, and I watched that unfold on social media, and it was, I know you guys struggled a little bit with contractors and then that's just what everybody struggles with. It's just the name of the game. But I was so glad to see that house turned out amazing, and y'all sold it really fast.
Didn't even go on the market.
Okay. So I'd like to kind of dive into that a little bit if you want to, and let's talk about maybe that deal, and then you've got 2 other projects going right now, and because I think people tune into this because the number one question I get right now is, how do you find deals? People say there's no deals, there's no deals. We're finding deals. Obviously, y'all are finding deals. So let's share. Do you mind diving into that a little bit?
Yeah, how we're finding deals?
Yeah.
Man, just doing non-conventional things.
Yeah.
So many people just think that you can go and look on MLS and find a house. The biggest thing that we do is we let people know what we do.
So key.
Because if people don't know that you buy houses or you flip or you're a real estate investor, they don't know. You'll have people that'll come to you and say, man, I really just need this. Like one of the properties we bought, or one of the ones we're flipping now, the guy just called me. I knew his grandson. His grandson seen my social media. And he told his grandpa, hey, I know this guy. He called me. Went and looked at the property. We're like, ooh, we could make this, just put the deal together. Another deal, other property we're flipping, we actually bought it from an older real estate investor in the game, and he's just trying to cash out everything.
So it was rental property?
Yeah, it was a rental for him, but we were going to originally make it a rental, and we started looking at the numbers, and we were like, dude, this could be a killer deal. Yeah, just like that. And so that's kind of how we move. I have a nice social media presence, so I always post stuff on there. People just see it, and just the other day had another lady call me. Hey, it's an estate. She don't want to put it on the market. She just wants to, So finding those things, and another thing that we also leverage is we primarily focus I'll do sales, but I don't actively go out looking for buyers. I use my team of investors, and so if I know if I have buyers that'll say, hey, I'll spend $55K, I want to cash flow $300 a month. So I know instantly if I go and look at something, even if we can't buy it, I got somebody who will buy it.
Smart. Yeah, it's having those multiple avenues that you can take.
Exactly.
So when you go into and that's kind of how we operate a lot of the same way. So we sort of know, the criteria for, is this something that's, we would purchase and flip? Is this something that we would hold? Is this something we might pass on? Or would it be better off for the consumer to list it, and sell it? And so, and it's kind of trying to find that fine line when you're working with people, because I always, and I know you guys are the same way, you always want to do what's best for the person that you're talking to, because a lot of times we get people who come to us that are in somewhat desperate situations. And I think that, being able to find a win-win, so where, you can, get paid for your time and it's worth your while, but you're also alleviating a pain point for someone. And that happens a lot when you're talking about estates, and we've done several of those last year, because it was just, people are overwhelmed. And they literally just don't want the problem anymore. They don't know what to do with stuff. They don't know what to do with, repairs, and they just need it gone.
And then, another thing is when they're dealing with that, they're dealing with a whole bunch of, or in a lot of cases, the family. You know, everybody, having their hands on everything is just, sometimes it gets sloppy, and they just don't want any parts of it.
So you've got 2 houses going right now. How is that going? Any challenges?
Definitely challenging, as in like we definitely are kind of like going out of budget. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like budget is always the thing. We can't always stay in budget. But with the first one, we ran into that issue as well. Same with this one. So
on the first house, I swear we ran out of money 4 times.
Yeah.
No lie. Yeah. We literally, because I think when you're a first timer and you're running numbers, everything's so unrealistic. You don't think about screws. You might have $300 worth of screws in an entire house, or $500 worth of door handles, or things like the vent covers. Like, you don't think about that stuff when you're trying to price stuff. It's the small stuff that adds up. So I think that's the biggest thing, is like holding those items accountable, because you have to. You can't just quote windows. You have to quote windows and installation, or you can't just quote door. You know what I'm saying? You have to really, really do your justice. And every project you do, there's going to be some kind of unexpected, regardless.
And that's what I always tell people when they say, oh, I don't know if I want to get into flipping houses. Oh, I don't know if I want to get into real estate. And I'll ask why, and they say, well, because I'm scared that somebody may tear up the house, or I'm scared that there may be a problem. And I said, there will be.
Yeah, it's part of the game.
There will be. Like, the easiest way to get over that is to just accept it as a truth.
Yeah.
You're gonna run into issues. Termites, rotten wood,
all of the above.
Yeah, or all of the above. Exactly. Bad. I tell the story of, the house that we did in Southside. It's probably been 5 or 6 years ago, and we call it the B house. Mm-hmm. It had, when we first looked at it, we thought that there was a water leak in one of the upstairs bathrooms. It was a split level. So, you come in the main area, and then you go down a half a flight, up a half a flight.
Right.
So we thought there was a water leak from an upstairs bathroom, but come to find out, the stain that we were seeing on the ceiling was honey. Mm. And we had the hive removed, and then found another hive, and then found a third hive. We found the third hive after we had already fixed all the sheetrock and everything in the lower level. So to get the third hive out, we actually had to cut the subfloor from the top floor, which was a lot more dangerous for the bee guy because of the vibration and all of that. It was insane. So, but the real issue that we ran into with that house, it had been vacant for a long time. The backyard was really grown up. It was a septic tank. So we thought, okay, there's a possibility that we're going to have to replace field lines. Mm-hmm. And we knew going into it, we had like a really nice profit margin. So we're like, $3,000 to $5,000, for the field lines, no big deal. So we get it under contract, USDA loan, have an inspection done that's required if someone's doing USDA and it's a vacant property and it's on septic, the lender requires a septic inspection. So we're like, okay, fine. So they have this septic inspection done, and comes back, and the whole system had failed. Mm. And the house was 45 years old, something like that. And so there is no grandfathering in of septic permits or perk tests or anything like that. So basically, either it was not really permitted or perked when it was originally installed, or the water table shifted. Long story short, it cost us $25,000. $25,000 to put an engineered septic system in. It was worst case scenario.
Yes.
It cost us about 2 months, because we had to get engineers, and everything had to go to Montgomery, and permits and inspections, and it was insane. Wow. It was insane.
Only imagine.
It's a miracle that we made any money off that deal. I mean, we still made a little bit. We were going to do really well.
Yeah.
Until. But you learn those lessons, right. And so now if I'm like, I don't care, I want that inspected. Mm-hmm. I'm big on it now. Right. On septic inspections. So you're finding Neil, social media is the biggest thing. Mm-hmm. Any other techniques that you guys are using that's working for you, or you just kind of being blessed with finding they're falling in your lap?
That's your relationships, really. Yeah, that's the main thing right
relationships,
now.
Yeah. Well, that's really awesome, and especially for you guys to be, somewhat new to the industry, and to be young, to already be able to leverage your relationships is really inspiring for a lot of people. Because I know there's lots of you know, people in college or in high school now that may watch us or aspire to be in real estate, but they think, oh, I can't do that. Right. You know, who am I? What am I? I don't know anything about it. I don't have a big network. But you really, in today's age, you can create a network with just some consistency with your posting and your messaging. Yeah. So, all right. So now let's get into the Southern Wrap in detail. Okay. So you got your shirt on.
Oh yeah.
It kind of looks like swag, so I like that.
Oh yeah.
Was that intentional? No. Yeah. Okay.
I actually gotten that before when I was wearing a shirt. Somebody was like, "Is that shirt say swag?" I was like, "No."
Yeah. I love it though. Yeah. So, what made you decide to do that?
So initially, when we first started investing, I think it was kind of right after we finished our first property. I told Braxton, I was like, "Hey, like later on when we actually started doing really well in real estate, let's diverse and do something like car related." And the first idea was a car wash, and because we wanted to be around cars, obviously, and at the same time find a way to make money of it. So at that point, it's not really a liability,
right?
Because cars are really a liability if we're honest with it.
Exactly, they are.
So, and then we actually jumped the gun on this one a little bit earlier than what we intended from the beginning, but things just happened for a reason. And we had an awesome opportunity to be able to partner up with a friend of ours who has a shop, and then we just pitched him the idea, and they were like, "Okay, yeah, let's do it." He's into cars as well, so he loved it. So we just kind of went all in on it.
It was born from there.
Yeah.
And so y'all are kind of specializing in auto wraps. So we talked before we started filming because we have a big enclosed trailer now. So I know my husband wants to have it wrapped, and then but you also do like some really cool just custom design work.
That's what we really opened this place for, to be to do like the cool color shifts and the hood stuff, because that's just like he said, boils down to like, we just wanted to do something that we were passionate about.
Right.
And of course we're passionate about real estate too, but cars, that's our first love, you know. So it's like we specialize in just full vehicle customization, really. Like, we have people that'll you could bring us a bone stock car, you know, we could have the capability to wheels, wrap, you know, literally like any other thing. Your chrome deletes, you can drop your car off and we can do it. Pretty much.
I need to talk to y'all after the show, because actually my husband just bought a truck, and he's been trying to figure out, like, it's not exactly what he wants, but I mean, trucks are really hard to find.
Yes. And
especially like a decent buy on a truck. So he kind of compromised on some of the aesthetics, and has been looking around, and he finally, I think, has an idea of what he wants to do, but we were sort of at a loss on, I didn't even think about you guys being able to do some of the wheels and fender. I'm gonna show that I don't know anything about cars. Fender flares. I was gonna say that. All right. So moving forward in 2021, y'all have two. We can kind of back up a little bit. So you've got two projects going right now. Where are y'all flipping?
We really will find a deal wherever the deal is that we think we can make money. We'll do it. Typically, what we shoot for, which I think we're in a unique position to where we do deals at. Most people, when they flip, they want to flip, and their sales price will be 190, 180 into the twos. What we shoot to do is target first-time buyers, if that makes sense.
Smart.
So we'll buy property, flip it, and it be in the, just say 100 to 150K range. And most of the time, like I said, we have stuff pending before.
And that's like, your resale price.
Resale price, yes. So after we buy it and rehab it, 120, 150, that's kind of the price point where we stay at. And we capitalize on a lot of people because we're both, like you said, we're 24, 25. Most people we either going to high school with or just mutual friends, they're coming into their first property. So we might have 3 or 4 friends who are like, hey, we need a property. Like on the first house, we sold that property to one of my high school friends. You know, we showed it to them. I think, man, maybe we just had sheetrock finishing going on.
Yeah.
And they fell in love with it because they could already tell how it was going to be.
Do you feel like you get an extra pressure when you sell to people you know?
You do, because you feel...
It makes me, like, I get nauseous every time.
Yes. I think the biggest
please don't let anything go wrong, you know? Here's a warranty. Here's whatever, you know? Like, I can't.
I think the biggest thing is just transparency and really just doing, like, kind of what we talked about is just setting a standard, like, just being consistent, just doing, you know, just try to do things the right way. And we feel like if we do things the right way, we try our best to deliver the best property to a friend or family member,
right?
Then it's just business. Like, things are going to break on a brand new house or a 20-year-old house, you know.
Right.
So just that transparency.
And I think setting some expectations too,
right.
You know, it's like, hey, the central heating area unit is 10 years old, everything's working, but it might quit.
Right.
Here's the warranty.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I do a lot of times. I'm like, let's talk about it up front, but you got to know that
something could happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, so right now we have one, we have one going downtown, and then we have one going kind of the Gadsden, Hoax Bluff cutoff there.
Yeah, like Tilson Bend area?
Yes.
Or, we're doing one in Tilson Bend.
Our first one was in North Gadsden on Tidmore Bend.
Yeah.
And so we bounce around. Like I said, we really, I'm not going to say we avoid the higher price areas, but when you do higher price areas, you have to have more funding.
Right.
You know, so say if you do, just say a B or a C neighborhood, people are still buying there. But you're not going to have to come up with $130K to buy the house, then another 20, 40 or however much, you know, you put into rehab.
Right.
So, you know, when we do a deal, we might only need $100,000 or we might only need $75,000. You know, that's a lot more manageable than having to come up with $150,000.
Right.
So, that's kind of where we're at now. Maybe once we scale and can do bigger deals, we may do it. But that's just kind of where we are in our position now.
How are y'all funding things? Are you guys self-funding? Are you bringing in private money, hard money, a little bit of everything?
So with that's kind of a really cool strategy that we use on that. We usually probably use private money, and the cool thing about it, I think, is very cool. It's that the money that we're getting is funded through some of our friends our age. Like, literally, like, they're not necessarily investing the same way we are as in flipping houses, but they're investing more passively, not having to do much.
Right.
But yeah, that's mainly how we're funding our properties right now. And like you said, that's why we're not doing properties that are like in the 150,000 or 200,000, just because of, like, funding is not a thing that we have quite yet, you know, access to that level. But that's majority how we do our funding, and that's how we did our first one.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so.
I think that's a really great strategy.
Yeah.
It is, because it holds, you know, because like we'll use personal money too, and then we'll use some funding money. So when you have irons in the fire too, it's motivation, you know, the person that you're using is like, oh, well, you're doing all, you know, they just have, it's just more liability. And like you said, man, these are guys that are our age too. So it's just like a whole...
So you're just like creating this tribe of young investors.
Yes, exactly.
I love that. So many people do not realize the power of real estate investing until they're 40 or 50 years old. And at that point, you have lost so much time. And it's I kick myself because Josh and I started out, we bought our first rental house when we were probably 20. I don't even think we were married yet. And we were burring, buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat, whatever. And that was before BRRRR was a thing. And then we I sort of got sucked into selling real estate. And I was like, oh, I'm going to be a broker and I'm going to have agents and, all this other stuff. And I kicked myself for letting so much time pass where I wasn't actively pursuing my own investment portfolio. And so I kind of had this epiphany, like a wake up moment, a slap in the face. You know, probably 5 years ago now, where I said, whoa, we gotta change the strategy.
Right.
Because real estate sales is great, but it's feast or famine. It's dog eat dog.
Exactly.
And you're tied to this crazy economy. You know, so it's,
and there's no equity.
yeah, there's no retirement. No, there's really
No
not. Excuse me. So yeah, it's if you're in real estate, if you're in real estate sales and you're not investing, you're crazy.
Yeah.
You're crazy. And I think people get caught up in the whole, you know, fiduciary responsibilities and, you know, am I going to get in trouble? And, you know, I don't really look at it like that. I'd give every person that I meet with, I give them all the facts. Lay it all out. And sometimes my offer may be less. I'll say, hey, you know, we could sell it and probably get more money. We could do a little bit, clean it up, whatever. You might get more money at the end. Or you could take my deal. You're going to get less money, but it's going to be fast and easy. You don't have to do anything. And you leave it up to them to make that decision at that point. And most people are, I've never had anybody come back and say they're unhappy with their decision.
Right.
So
yeah, I think the biggest thing with being an agent and this is just being like you said, just being transparent.
Right.
Because you want to give your offer just like the other day I told you that I talked to a lady, you know, and she had an estate of her father's. It's her and her siblings, and I was like, well, she was like, well, would you be interested in buying it? And I was like, up front, I was like, well, I'll give you an investor offer. You know what I'm saying? That's what I can do. I can give you an investor offer, or if you want to list it, we can list it. Like, you know, so I'll leave it up to them. If they say, hey, I don't mind taking an investor offer and, you know, doing something with it, or if I want to get close to appraised value, then you go in a different direction. You just give them the option.
right. And we're very transparent with our sellers now moving forward, where I actually give them a scope of work. You know, like this is what I would do to the house. And this is what, you know, with budget, like with line items, and this is what I think it would cost, and this is what I think it would sell for at the end, and this is our profit margin. Because people have to understand that you've got to make money. You know,
Got to.
You have to. And you know, and some people get turned off by it, but most people don't. I mean, they're very respectful of it. I think if you sit down and you're real and, you know, and like you said, honest and transparent, I mean, I think it usually works out. You usually at least are going to get something out of it. You'll get a listing, or you'll get a sale, you know, get a flip or a rental.
Get something for sure.
Something, just for being honest. So y'all got 2 properties going right now. And how far, is this the first time you've tried to do 2 at one time?
Yeah.
Yes.
How's that going?
It's going okay.
It's going.
It's going okay. It's just really, just like we said earlier, budget. When you go over budget and you're doing 2 deals, and, you know, both deals are over budget, but it's like you got to, the biggest thing that we try to do is just like, we had a phone conversation the other day, like we're going over budget on one, and Rico was like, well, he called me, he was like, well, man, how much money can you spend and still be comfortable? And then he was like, you know, I know what I can do, what can you do? And it's like, you have to just be able to
make those adjustments.
And
so y'all had a conversation about, did y'all start doing some labor?
We were going to bring some more money out of our pocket.
Oh, I gotcha. Throwing more money in.
Yeah. And he was like, hey, you know, what can you do and still be comfortable? Because at the end of the day, you can leverage yourself. Like, first deal,
we leveraged
super over leveraged.
Yeah.
We were like, we had sleepless nights. You know, so it's like you try to leverage yourself as much as possible, but you still have to be able to comfortably do your day-to-day stuff.
And y'all did a ton of work personally.
Yes.
On the first
house,
deal.
oh my God.
Y'all were hanging sheetrock, if I remember right.
Hanging
sheetrock.
Gosh. But we realized after that, all of it's a lesson. We realized after that we never wanted to do hard work in the house again. Like, we'll come in and, you know, do little stuff, but hanging sheetrock and no.
But the value that we got out of doing all that is just like, you can't put a price tag on it, because I know personally I learned a whole lot from just being in there and actually doing everything on there, because then you know what to look for your next property. You know what you don't want to get into, and how much you get an idea how much work, or if your contractors are overpricing you. Because like if you don't ever do some of the work in there, you will never know if your contractor's overpricing you on what you're asking them to do, because you don't know how much labor it takes. But when you're actually in there doing it, well, now you actually see it and ask, okay, well, that's going to be a lot of work for them. Now that makes sense why they're charging that much. So, so it was a lot of learning lessons from it, but definitely it's hard.
And I think one thing too that's so important about actually doing some of the work yourself is that it helps you learn like a sequence that needs to happen. So, and that's something that we've been refining over the years. So it's, you get, of course, you do your demo first, and then you've got to get your plumbing and electrical done, and then you don't have your sheetrock done until your plumbing and electrical is stubbed out. You don't put your cabinets in until, it's because people who have never been in construction or have never really done a renovation don't understand the importance of making sure that those things happen in the right order, because if not, you're in trouble.
It's gonna cost you money.
And it's the little boo-boos. And that's really where we are is as we're trying to get to a point to where we're making less little small errors, because it never fails. I will have a lighting boo-boo. Every house, where the vanity light in the bathroom's too low, or it's not centered, or I wish the can light was shifted 2 inches this way, and so I get caught in the details a lot of times, but the more you do, the better you get at trying to figure all that out and to think everything, because it's a lot. And I think my message to people is just get in there and do it, because you can't, there's no book, there's no tutorial or YouTube video or handout that's going to teach you
everything
how to do this. You got to get in there and get your hands dirty. But I like the work too, though. I mean, I don't do as much as I used to, but I enjoy it. So.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't like the work.
No.
I like driving around and just going to check on the properties, and I really like for what I like to do, because of course we're a team, so we're both good at different things.
Right.
Things I like to do are finding deals, running the numbers, saying trying to keep up with the budget, or what I typically do if we find a property, I'll run the comps on it. I'm a finance major, so I'm pretty good with numbers, so I'll set, okay, well, windows, this, try to at least set the original budget for it, send it over to them, we'll make some adjustments. He'll be like, bro, you underpricing labor, or bro, these windows are going to be 5,000 instead of 4,000, so we just shoot each other back and forth. Rico's a negotiator. He'll negotiate gas prices. I'm like, so
not that serious.
So
he's got that like he's not intimidating. So sweet. Yes,
yeah.
You
but
need
when it
that.
come down to it, like it is what it is with him. Business is business. So I'll let him negotiate. That's what he's good at, negotiating. He's good at raising funds, and he's good at holding contractors accountable. That's one thing that he's really important. He don't care, So we're good at different things. So what I like to do, what I'm good at, and picking finishes.
Are you the designer? Yes. That's okay, Rico.
That's fine.
Everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. It's okay.
I'm fine with it.
It's okay.
I'll be like, man, Rico would, in an all-white kitchen, Rico would be at black appliances if they were cheaper. And I'm like, no,
I'm
sir.
all about trying to be in that budget. I'm all about that.
It's a fine line. That's so funny though, but because I'm glad you got into that, because that was one of the things I wanted to talk about earlier, and I think we jumped a little bit, but of what you felt like made you guys a great team, and I think you just answered that question, is that you complement each other so well.
And I think another thing that makes us a good team is one thing that we've learned from friendships and doing business with other people is you can install drive in people, and we both have a great work ethic. Like we literally probably, how many hours do you think that we work collectively a week?
Nah.
Don't even know. Nah. However, we're working for ourselves, so it's different. We're not working, so just having the drive to go and always be doing something, rather it's real estate, rather it's the shop on the week, like still on the weekends, we're still going to work on properties, even though we don't want to, So we sacrifice so much because we really believe in what we're doing, and we just see the numbers, and you see the big guys in the game and where they started, and we know we can get there. So I think one thing that really draws us, that keeps us good, is we're both highly driven, and we'll do whatever it takes. I'm trying to think. Other than that, like, we're just opposites. Like, we're the same, but we're opposite.
Yeah.
We both love cars and real estate, but we like different cars and we like different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we just complement each other. We got similar personalities. So that's good. One thing that we're working on now is, we realize, like, in our friendship, like, me and Rico really, like, anytime we're together, we're usually doing business. So now we're trying to actually have a friendship too, because I feel like that's important, because you do get jealous when you like, oh, Rico's going out with, so it's like we're really trying to now, like, have
a life.
Have a life and have, like,
Tell me more about how that works. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's funny because we went to dinner last weekend with some friends for my husband's birthday, and we were getting out of the car, and he was like, and one of the couples that went with us are business partners with us, and he was like, let's try not to make it all about business tonight. Yeah. And I was like, I said, I don't know what to talk about.
Exactly.
I don't.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm telling you.
So sad.
If you go to our message thread, it's all about work, like, consistently. So, did you feel like I left anything out about what makes us a good team?
No, I think you nailed it. I mean,
yeah. So y'all are going to keep your real estate license for now, though. Do you feel like that's handicapped you at all, or do you think it's been an asset?
Ooh,
because I've gone back and forth about it.
Honestly, let me touch on this too. Honestly, yes. He talked about the first of this year about, because if you really sit down and think about it, yes. Because if you look at all the deals that we put together, so just like we talked, I'm just going to use the same example earlier. Mm-hmm. If we look at, the state, for instance, we'll go to them as an investor or a realtor, mm-hmm. and, if we negotiate a $5,000 commission or $5,000 fee, you have to do your splits, If not, if you're just going as a wholesaler or as an investor, so we do, that's something that he talked about. I think he's taking a class right now.
I actually went inactive for about like 2 months because I've been debating really hard whether I wanted to keep it or not, because I want to dive more into. I'm big time more on the investment part, like all the way. That's why I got into real estate. The only reason I got my license was to be able to network and meet the people so I can get my door into investing.
Right.
So, but I'm looking more transition more to like doing like wholesale deals, doing creative, putting deals creatively where they're subject to and stuff like that. Not really into like sales wise and all that. It's cool. I like the sales part of it, but I'm not really that passionate to where that's where I want to put all my energy.
You know how you have those buyers who are trying to help people find their dream home?
Yeah.
That's not that's not our goal. Like, that's not what we want to do.
Yeah.
We'll do it. Like, we work with friends and family and stuff now, but if we, like, once I graduate with my major, my focus, you have financial advisors. I want my financial stuff to come into real estate.
Right.
Like, you see what I'm saying? So I strictly want to do investing and work with investors. Because that's my passion.
I have thought that
so
many times that there needed to be. I was like, why are there not, people who are educated in it with a finance background who work exclusively with real estate investors? Because if you go to your traditional, or this has just been my experience, you go to your traditional financial advisor. They want you to do mutual funds, stocks, life insurance. You know, they have all these products that they sell that they make big commissions off of. They don't want you. You talk to them about real estate, and they're like, "Meh."
Yes,
And I'm like, I'm sorry. Let's talk about appreciation.
Yes, yeah.
Let's talk about inflation.
Yes, and funny story. I have some guys that I use locally at Northwestern Mutual.
Ooh, we need to edit that.
No. You good? I mean, it's,
Okay.
we just shooting it straight, you know. And I do like I tell them, you know. I say real estate's gonna be my baby. You know, I'll do some other little stuff, you know, with y'all and just to blah blah blah. But real estate's gonna be the baby. You know, so I let them set me up these things. But I'm like, hey, I don't, you know, I'm not gonna get too far in because I know I can make more money by myself.
Right.
I will have these little safety nets that they, you know, they just like the comfortability basically.
Right.
So I do have the little safety net set up with them, the life insurance, the brokerage account, that stuff. But the baby, we all know once you're in real estate, you do a deal or two and you close it and you get that check, you already know, you know, and then your equity down the line.
Yeah.
Real estate's just the way.
Well, you know, the guy that sort of mentored me, and he's passed away now, but, you know, he told me one day, he was like, he grabbed my hands and he was like, look at these hands, look at your hands. And I was like, oh, I'm looking at my hands. And he was like, he said, these hands are only going to make you so much money. And I don't think I really understood what he was saying at the time. I was so young. But it was basically, you know, that you only have so many hours in a day.
Right. And
you only have so many hours on this planet. And if you're constantly trading time for money, eventually you're going to run out. And the other thing that, you know, that he really opened my eyes to was inflation. And that's something that no one wants to talk about. And I don't know. I mean, you're in finance, you're in school right now for finance, or do y'all talk a lot about inflation or about how that affects?
You know, let me touch on that.
Excuse me.
They do, but they don't. Like, if I wasn't as far along in college as I am now, I would never, like, if I was doing this, really investing when I was 19 or so, when I started school, I would have never went. Because high school and college, they teach you how to be employees, regardless of, I don't care what anybody says. You go to school for business or finance, I'm taking financial management now, and they're teaching us how to run numbers for a corporation. They don't teach you how to
be an entrepreneur.
So, yes, they talk about inflation, but they talk about inflation and how it affects Google or how it affects this company. Or, you know what I'm saying? So, you learning this stuff, but in a different way than reality.
Right. About how it affects daily Americans or average Americans.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so that was the thing that was so powerful to me is that, you know, Archie, that was the guy that mentored me, he taught me that, you know, that real estate, there's a reason why you call it real estate, because it is real. It's one of the only things that is actual, that's actually directly tied to the economy. And so, and it's really the only thing that, as far as an investment tool that I know of that actually can beat inflation.
Right.
Because if you put in, you know, X amount of dollars into the stock market today, and if we have inflation like we always have, and then we're expecting a lot more, then, you know, even if that portfolio that you have maybe performs, they'll say, oh, it performs average, you know, annually 5%, 10%, whatever. When you factor in inflation, a lot of times you have less buying power. And that's what it's all about. The dollar it's just, if you can't buy anything with it, it's all this just a illusion. And so real estate, what's so beautiful, especially about rental property, is that if we have inflation, if the price of milk goes up, the price of rent goes up, the price of the house goes up, everything, it follows directly with the economy, unlike other things that aren't tied to anything real.
And that's 100%. We 100% agree with that. And like I said, the average person, speaking of inflation, we had a debate the other day. It was this thing that we just seen on Facebook, like a meme. Mm-hmm. And we didn't have an argument, but we had a debate like, dang, why do you feel that way? Okay, so the question was, you had three options: 850 credit score, $2 million in cash, or $4,000 a week for life. And one of the things that Rico talked about was inflation. Like, if you take $4,000 a week for, you know what I'm saying, or debating which option you would take, it's like, man, you ain't factoring in inflation.
Yeah, I would be tempted to take the $2 million. I really would.
That's
I really
exactly what I said.
Because you could buy a very nice apartment complex for $2 million, and you could cash flow over $4,000 a month. I do believe, especially in this area. Yeah. So, and then with inflation, so just go up.
That's what I thought too. He thought differently, but that's the power of you having what you feel and what I feel. So that was just funny.
I'll take the credit score. I feel like you can do so much more with that.
Rico.
So many things you can let
That's like, I always laugh. I say, if you get the 800, you're like, that's old man credit.
Yeah.
That's what I say. My mom's like, I have an 8. She had like an 820, and I was like, how? She was like, I'm old. And I was like, I guess that's why.
Give me the $2 million.
Yeah.
Because I look at that. The way I was looking at it, okay, because if you look at what could take me and him to the next level right now? What is it? Mm-hmm. What could take us to the next level right now?
Funding
money. We had $2 million. Our average deal price that we could do 20. I think it was like 27 deals at one time.
What really propelled us was cash. Was an influx of cash, and that was from we sold our house that we'd worked on for 7 years. And, the market was really high, and we got more than we thought we could get out of it. And we had this beautiful little nest egg. And, at that point, it was, a lot of people would have said, oh, I'm going to put this down on another house, or I'm going to pay off my car. I'm going to do, people pay off their cars.
Makes no sense.
Right.
I
know. Sorry, Rico. But, we said no. We said we're going to use this and we're going to grow it. And we doubled it in less than a year.
Yeah.
And then that's allowed us to be able to self-fund, which now we have so many projects going on that we have brought in some private money. Right. But our investors are getting great returns, and they're happy, and it's allowing us to have some, cash flow. To me is the hardest part of this whole thing, because it's like, how do you have so much money and not have any money? Because everything's tied up, It's insane. It's insane. And then we close on one, and it's like, oh, we got all this money, and then it's like, oh no, we're buying another one tomorrow. Oh, it's like it barely clears, Yeah. So, but that's just how it is, and I think, I'm a little nervous about what's going to happen over the next year. We talked about that a little bit before we started. That the housing prices are just insane.
They're going crazy.
Insane. I have and y'all have been doing this for almost 20 years. I rode out the crash. I saw all of that. I have never seen prices like they are. Yeah. So we're gonna flip as many as we can, and then hopefully be sitting on a pile of cash when the prices bottom out, and then we'll buy up. Do some buy and hold, because I think that's the best strategy. The people who really took advantage of the last downturn in the market, that's basically what they did,
Because it's all about how you look at a situation, because in that downturn, poor people suffered, rich people got way richer. Yeah. People who were in the position, or not even necessarily rich people, but people who had a plan, who took advantage of it, because OPM, that's the name of the real estate game.
Other people's money.
Nobody uses all of their own money to do long term. You might in the beginning, but so people who are doing that are either borrowing bank money, using private money, so it's just taking advantage. If something's about to happen, try to get yourself in a liquid position, or hey Jody, or hey whoever, let's get some deals. Let's put some cash together, let's get some deals and move on. And I think that's one big thing that kind of how we feel. We don't, of course, a market turn would hurt everybody or hurt us. It would, not necessarily hurt you, but it would affect you.
It would change your game.
It would change the game, yes.
Yeah.
But I just feel like we We just believe in it, and we can figure out a strategy. I think that's the biggest thing with, I want to touch on this a little bit. In real estate, you have to be able to think of a strategy. It doesn't always have to be cookie cutter. You know what I'm saying? There's so many people who miss out on stuff because they think just like everybody else, and you can't, you know. And I think that's a lot like before me and Rico teamed up. Like, I was in real estate for I think 3 years or so before we teamed up, and the brokers that I was with was cookie cutter. Everybody thought the exact same, and you don't realize it until you get out that hurts you. Because if you're thinking, the only way you think is one way, and traditional, nobody ever puts any different ideas in your head, you get left behind.
And I think that's kind of that corporate mentality that comes into play, because it's, you know, and I understand that in a way, because we've talked about this before about trying to streamline, and you get policies and procedures and systems and all of that to kind of make your life easier. But I think you can systematize yourself to death to where then you can't see the opportunity because it doesn't fit in your little system box.
Exactly. You're not thinking about yourself. You're thinking about your firm, you know. And I think just thinking outside of the box, finding a way to fund deals, finding a way to put deals together, like he was talking about too, subject to stuff, or just finding a way. If somebody's in a desperate situation and blah blah, you know, there's ways to put stuff together, but you have to be able to think, and you have to know attorneys who think the same way as you,
right?
You know, so there's ways to put deals together, like. There's ways. And
I always say, for me, it goes back to that line in Rich Dad Poor Dad where it says, you know, Rich Dad always said, ask yourself, how can I? Never say I can't. It's how can I? And we've definitely made a lot of money by just kind of flipping that, you know, that. And again, it's just how you're perceiving things. It's how you're looking at a situation. It's not, because we made money off a deal last year that I think every other investor in town had passed on. And it was that house on Morale Lane in Southside. And it had that giant shop that was on a separate lot. And so we just sold the shop and the lot separately. And then did the house. We really technically didn't make a whole lot of money off the house, but it was pure profit off the shop. I'm kind of mad I didn't keep it. Now I'm like, I need a warehouse. But anyway, but you know, a lot of people had passed on it because they couldn't see. They couldn't see that opportunity, and it was like, hey, I think this could work, and you know, so I think it's really awesome that you guys have recognized that at this, you know, early stage in your career, because it's just going to take you. It's going to take you a long way.
And I just think that's what separates so many people. If you have to think outside the box when you're doing this stuff, and so many people just think one way, you know.
And I love it because you hear stories about. I could name a couple of names of people that come to mind. I won't do that, where they say, oh man, everything that person touches turns to gold. Everything they get and opportunities, they see everything. And I used to be that same way, like it was something that was special about that person, like they were just born that way, or they were educated a certain way, or whatever. And I finally realized, and it was this total like aha moment for me, where it was like, no, they're just really thinking critically about every opportunity. How can I make money? How can I create a win? And if you do that with everything that you're presented, you're gonna win. You're gonna lose too, probably a little bit.
I mean, it's gonna happen.
You can't win them all.
You can't win them all.
You can't home run them all. You ain't gotta necessarily lose. You can't home run them all.
Can't home run them all. I like it. Well, guys, it has been a pleasure to have you on, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the future holds for y'all.
Sure.
And if you don't mind, just really quick, can you tell everybody how they can get in touch with you if they want to follow y'all on social media, or about cars and everything else?
Oh yeah. I'm on Facebook, just Braxton Collins. Our rap shop is Southern Raps in Detail on Facebook and Instagram. Instagram at Realtor Brax.
Nice.
So you can also find me on Facebook. Ricordo Ortiz instead of Rico. I know she introduced me as Rico. But Instagram, it would be Rico_Ortiz with 2 Z's. And yeah.
That's it.
That's
All
it.
right, awesome. And we'll link to y'all in the notes and everything for the show. So, so that is it for today, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in for this episode of My Flippin' Podcast. You can follow us on Facebook at Our Flipping Life, Instagram, our.flipping.life, and also online, you can check us out, jngrealestate.com. If you're looking to buy a house, sell a house, you got an apartment complex, anything you want us to look at, we would be more than happy to help you guys with any of your real estate needs. So that is all for today. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week. Bye, y'all.